So you want to go and build yourself a cafe racer motorcycle. You just can't do anything the easy way, can you? A new motorcycle with a few tasteful mods would just be too obvious. No, you need to get down in the mechanical trenches. You want to bust your knuckles open and strip the heads on some rusted bolts. Hell, just go all the way and snap that bolt right in half. Weight reduction, you know, and free Loctite. It's just the exhaust header. I don't think it needs to be on there tight anyways. But really, cafe racers can be pretty cool when done well. It can be a unique source of pride and accomplishment to restore an old bike and ultimately have a unique and one-of-a-kind motorcycle that is more functional and fun to ride than something like a custom chopper built by first-cousin fabricators. If this is the path you're looking to go down, you are in luck, because unlike the original cafe racers of the 1960s, we now have access to the internet where you can find tons of information on the necessary modifications to build a specific bike into a cafe racer. Certain bikes are going to have more useful information, aftermarket support, and just look cooler in the style. So let's look at the top 5 motorcycles for a cafe racer build. This video is brought to you by Aura. I'll talk more about their services later in the show. Before we bust out our flannels and cue the Nick Cave, take a second to click that notification bell so you're the first to know when the latest videos come out. Don't forget to get max entries to win our new giveaway bike, the Harley Roadster, by using the code LOVEMEDAD at shop.yamini.co. You'll get 10% off any purchase and max entries for the month. You've only got one more day to use that code, and then your dad's love is naught but the fever dream of a sadder version of you. Oh wait, I suppose that's just you now. The time-space continuum is hard to wrap your head around. Anywho, the cafe racer motorcycle trend originated in London in the 1950s. Fueled by rock and roll and a need for speed, motorcyclists would strip down their bikes and make modifications to improve their performance and handling. They would typically tune their engines with an increase in air and fuel and equip low-slung handlebars and rear-set pegs for a more sporty riding position with the intent on racing around town from cafe to cafe. They sound like a bunch of hooligans and squids to me. But much of these changes, while rooted in the functionality of the motorcycle, have become ubiquitous of the style today. Cafe racers typically have clean lines with deliberate geometry. The rear end of the seats typically sits just about evenly with the top of the triple tree and the front of the motorcycle. They either have their turn signals done away with completely or integrated into their taillight for a cleaner look. They usually have the rear fender removed completely and instead implement a frame hoop welded together beneath the rear of the seat. Cafe racer builds range in the extent of their quality and customization. Sometimes you'll see a budget build XS650 that is totally clapped out with more eBay parts than a Chinese pit bike, or you'll see a CB750 that is fully built from top to bottom with the list parts totaling more than the cost of a brand new Ninja 650. Either way, both styles will typically be chewed out by cafe racer gatekeepers of the internet, one of the most abhorrent motorcycle subcultures in my humble opinion. Sorry, just had to get that out real quick. Cafe bikes are cool, the builds can be impressive, but it's a motorcycle, not the Venus de Milo. Tone down the pretentiousness a bit, please. While early cafe racers were typically built out of British twins and manufacturers like Triumph and Norton, the subculture quickly extended to include Japanese and European manufacturers as well, with brands like Honda and BMW being some of the most common platforms of cafe racer builds. One of the most common motorcycles for a cafe racer build is the Honda CB750. The CB750 was released in 1969 and was regarded as the original superbike. This motorcycle redefined what most people had come to expect from production motorcycles in terms of performance, reliability, and features. If you're a real motorcycle nerd and you want to hear all about the CB750 in its entirety, go back and watch our deep dive video from a few weeks ago. The CB750 was manufactured from 1969 up until 2003, but if you're looking for a CB for a cafe racer build, K-series models from 1970 to 1976 not only have the most cafe racer aesthetic and stock form, but also have some pretty universal parts fittings, making them easier to source parts than some other bikes. The CB750 has a huge aftermarket support from companies who specialize in parts for cafe racer style builds, making it exactly easy to find what you need, and instead of battling with the universal fitment Amazon parts that universally suck dick. These bikes have an air-cooled 736cc inline 4 that makes about 67 horsepower and 44 foot-pounds of torque in stock form. But with engine tuning and high-flowing exhaust and air cleaners, those figures could be bumped a little. People building CB750s typically upgrade their tires, brakes, and suspension to benefit the handling after getting a little bit more power out of the engine. There are a few downsides to pursuing a CB750 for a cafe racer build. While Honda sold hundreds of thousands of them over the last 50 years, their popularity in the cafe racer scene has made them demand a higher price point that you would expect for a 40-year-old motorcycle. Other than price, the biggest drawback is the 4 carburetors. I've heard many riders Sisyphean nightmares as they spend countless hours jetting and rejetting and sinking their carbs, never to get it tuned exactly right. If you love the CB platform and are a younger or smaller rider that wants to build a cafe racer for aesthetic purposes instead of die-hard performance machine, the smaller displacement CB550 and 450 can be options reasons as well, is that it may be a little bit cheaper to purchase than the big bad CB750. It can be hard keeping track of all your different passwords, and according to experts, it is unsafe to use passwords like Rossi Lover 1 for your most important accounts. Aura came through and helped us out with their password manager and dark web monitoring services. Aura keeps all of your passwords safe in one spot so you can be organized and secure. Plus, they'll continuously scan the dark web for any passwords or personal information that may have gotten leaked out, and one of the many data breaches we keep hearing about. When Josh signed up for Aura, they found 10 of his passwords on the dark web, alongside with a few pieces of suggestive Suzuki fan art that he had made. Don't let your private information stay out of the web. Go to aura.com/Yami to get a free 14-day trial. Again, that's aura.com/Yami. Get yourself a free 14-day trial. It'll definitely help out the channel a bunch. Thanks, Aura. Now back to the video. Platform for a cafe racer build for those with a predilection for UJM bikes is the XS650 from Yamaha. The XS650 was produced from 1970 until 1983, making them relatively popular in the cafe racer building scene. Their popularity comes with a bit of a higher used price, but if you look around hard enough, there are plenty of models that have been babied by old dudes since the 80s they'd be willing to part for just a couple grand. Whatever you do, don't just buy someone's half-finished cafe project bike. That is always a red flag. First, find one that is pretty much 100% stock and unmolested. Otherwise, you'll be in for a world of hurt trying to diagnose the ailments of their terminally ill monstrosity. The XS650 has a 654cc parallel twin that makes 53 horsepower. With only 2 carbs, the XS is easier to tune than a big boy inline 4. These bikes have the classic UJM looks, making them a good platform for customization in the cafe racer style. Similar to the CB750, the XS is a common motorcycle for build, so there's a lot of aftermarket support, making it easy to source parts and learn the ins and outs of the common modifications. If you wanted to do something a little bit more unique, Yamaha also made the XS750 and XS850 3-cylinder models in the late 70s and early 80s. They are a little bit harder to find, but they are super cool old bikes. Both the XS650 and the 750 are clear predecessors to the modern XSR series bikes from Yamaha. I mean, you could always just get an XSR 700 and save yourself hours and hours of pain, but hey, it's your life. The last Japanese entry on our list is the Honda CX500. This bike is frickin' cool. The CX500 was the first V-twin motorcycle ever made by Honda and has been referred to as the poor man's Guzzi due to the resemblance the engine bears to the horizontal V-twins used in the motorcycles from Moto Guzzi since the 1960s. This bike was produced in a few different trim options between 1978 and 1983, including a turbocharged model in 1982. Turbocharged transverse V-twin. That definitely has got to be up there as one of the most adventurous efforts from Honda. Good luck finding a turbocharged model for less than 15 grand though. But luckily, the naturally aspirated models can be found for just a couple thousand. The 492cc water-cooled V-twin makes about 50 horsepower, which isn't bad when you consider you'd definitely be buying this bike because of the edgy and avant-garde engine configuration and not necessarily the performance. These bikes have a pretty big cult following, so there's a decent online support and a dedicated forum for all the insider knowledge you need. Kinky V-twin Twink69 is a moderator over there and is really welcoming to newcomers. Early CX500 models came with dual rear shocks, while later models moved to a monoshock design, which is something to keep in mind when determining how you will want your build to look. Something to consider if you're looking for a CX500 is that Honda GL500 Silverwing uses the same engine configuration and could also be a platform to build on. There were also the CX650 and GL650 variants in 1983 that made a little bit more power with the increased displacement, but will be tricky to find due to the short production window. We couldn't make a cafe racer motorcycles without mention of the BMW R100/7 Airhead. The R100 was the long-running motorcycle from BMW with an air-cooled 980cc boxer engine, single drive plate clutch, and a shaft drive. The R100 at its peak made 70 horsepower. This bike practically invented sport touring and was so beloved by boomer BMW simps, it was brought back into production after being discontinued and sold alongside the newer, more advanced, and more powerful K100. These bikes can typically be seen completely stripped down with improved fuel management, modern suspension, brakes, clip-on handlebars, and stumpy bobtail section. Like so many custom motorcycle trends, aesthetics play an important role, and there's always something charming about a boxer engine. When the bike is stripped down, the engine plays an even bigger part of the overall looks of the motorcycle. The R100 is instantly recognizable with its opposing cylinders and knee indents on the gas tank. These bikes are really cool and arguably have more character than the UJM counterparts. They're definitely still sought after motorcycles. It's hard to find any model for sale less than $5,000. The The last notable platform for a cafe racer build is a bike I touched on previously, the BMW K100. The K100 has been called the flying brick due to its longitudinal inline-4 engine that looks more like an Epson printer than a motorcycle engine. These bikes were produced from 1982 to 1992, after and then alongside the Boxster R100. In stock form, they scream Peak's 80s Euro design, but when stripped down in a cafe racer livery, they can be some of the coolest and most futuristic-looking cafe bikes, thanks in part to the topsy-turvy engine placement. The single-sided monoshock and the drive shaft enclosing swing arm also contribute to this futuristic cafe racer aesthetic, looking like it only has half the rear-end components of a similar motorcycle of the time. The 987cc water-cooled 4-cylinder engine makes 90 horsepower and 63 foot-pounds of torque, which makes it the most powerful motorcycle option on this list. These bikes are also fuel-injected, pretty cutting-edge technology from 1982, 24 years ahead of certain bikes from Harley-Davidson. The K100 are still pretty easy to come by and have been known for their great build quality. It isn't too hard to find a stock K100 for $3,000 or $4,000. It might be a little bit more than some of the motorcycles on this list, but it is worth it in my opinion for the modern components and the potential for the build. Thank you to the Cafe Racer Gatekeepers for allowing us to make this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell. We're uploading 9 videos a week, so you're going to want to make sure you're notified and never miss a video. Fact: 1/3 of plant life on the island of Socotra near Yemen can't be found anywhere else on the planet. It has been described as the most alien-looking place on Earth. Goodbye.